European Union institutions. European Court of Human Rights, ECHR. The European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, is a judicial body associated with the Council of Europe, not directly an EU institution. It enforces the European Convention on Human Rights, ECHR, and Convention 108, providing rulings that address data protection and privacy laws within the scope of these conventions. The ECHR addresses cases related to fundamental rights, including privacy and data protection. This is especially pertinent in an age where data privacy is intertwined with human rights issues. The ECHR's decisions help shape how personal data is protected within the Council of Europe's member states. Notable cases include 1. Niemiec v. Germany. This case dealt with the right to privacy concerning workplace searches, establishing the precedent for balancing privacy and legitimate interests. 2. Halford v. United Kingdom. The court ruled that wiretapping an employee's calls without consent violates the ECHR, specifically Article 8, right to respect for private and family life. 3. IV Finland. This case reinforced the necessity of data protection, emphasizing that unauthorized access to medical records breaches an individual's right to privacy. European Parliament. The European Parliament is the EU's directly elected legislative institution. Its functions include legislative development, supervisory oversight of other EU institutions, and budgetary decisions. It plays a significant role in the development of data protection laws. 1. Legislative development. The European Parliament has a history of advocating for privacy and data protection. 1. It co-develops and reviews proposed legislation, including landmark regulations like the GDPR. 1. The Parliament's committees, particularly the Committee on Civil Liberties, Justice and Home Affairs, LIBE, review and suggest amendments to proposed data protection laws considering input from various stakeholders. 2. Supervisory oversight. The Parliament exercises supervisory oversight over the European Commission and other EU bodies, ensuring that data protection regulations are implemented effectively. 2. This oversight also extends to reviewing the Commission's enforcement of laws like the GDPR. 3. Advocacy. The European Parliament has been a strong advocate for data protection, promoting robust legislation that protects individuals' rights. 3. This includes pushing for stringent measures to safeguard personal data and ensuring that member states comply with EU regulations. European Commission. The European Commission is an executive arm of the EU, consisting of commissioners from each member state. Its primary role is to implement EU policies and decisions, including data protection regulations. The Commission has been particularly active in data protection matters, drafting key regulations and overseeing their implementation. 1. Legislative proposals. The Commission has the authority to propose new legislation. 1. It was responsible for drafting the GDPR, a landmark regulation that replaced the Data Protection Directive, 95/46 EC. 1. The GDPR was designed to harmonize data protection laws across the EU, providing a cohesive framework for protecting personal data. 2. Implementation and enforcement. The Commission oversees the implementation of EU laws across member states. 2. In terms of data protection, this includes ensuring compliance with the GDPR and other relevant regulations. 2. The Commission also works with national supervisory authorities, providing guidance and support for implementing EU data protection laws. 3. Guidance. The Commission provides guidance on interpreting and implementing data protection laws. 3. For instance, its GDPR guidance website offers resources to help organizations understand and comply with the regulation, addressing topics such as data subject rights, international data transfers, and accountability measures. European Council. The European Council consists of the heads of state or government from EU member countries, the European Council President, and the European Commission President. While it doesn't have direct legislative power, it defines the EU's priorities and sets its political direction. 1. Policy direction. The European Council's decisions shape the legislative agenda, influencing the development of data protection laws. 1. For example, its support for a harmonized approach to data protection paved the way for the GDPR, emphasizing the importance of protecting individuals' rights in the digital age. And where political influence. The Council's guidance also affects negotiations and decision-making across EU institutions. 2. This includes influencing the legislative process of the European Parliament and the Council of the EU, ensuring that data protection remains a priority. Court of Justice of the European Union, CJEU. The Court of Justice of the European Union, CJEU, is the EU's judicial body, consisting of the European Court of Justice, ECJ, and the General Court. It interprets EU law, including data protection regulations, and enforces decisions. 1. Interpretation of EU law. The CJEU clarifies and interprets EU laws, assisting national courts in upholding EU regulations. 1. This includes interpreting the GDPR, ensuring its consistent application across member states. 2. Enforcement. The CJEU handles cases concerning EU law, including data protection issues. 2. Notable cases that have shaped data protection include Google Spain v. AEPD and Mario Costella Gonzalez. This landmark case established the right to be forgotten, ruling that Google must remove links to an article about Mr. Costella. Schrems v. Data Protection Commissioner. This case challenged the EU-US Safe Harbor framework, leading to its invalidation and paving the way for the EU-US Privacy Shield. Bodil Lindqvist v. Åklagarkammaren. This case clarified that a private web page containing personal data is not exempt from EU data protection laws. These institutions play vital roles in shaping, implementing, and enforcing data protection laws within the EU. Their interactions ensure a cohesive framework for protecting personal data, balancing individual rights, and facilitating smooth data flows across member states. This comprehensive approach helps the EU maintain its position as a leader in global data protection, setting standards that influence practices worldwide.